In this lesson, we're going to look at an accordion binding. So it's also called a concertina or a leporello, and it looks something like this. The advantages of it are that you can display your artwork on the front side and on the back side, and you can stand it up to be viewed in an exhibition like so. It's self-supporting, but you can also read it like a book that you would read normally. This one has got ribbons attached to it, which seem to be slightly getting in the way at the moment, but as you can see, they're just threaded through the back here and then stuck underneath the final end paper. But I'm just going to show you the most basic accordion. There's two ways of making an accordion, and that's really dictated by what paper and printer you have access to. If you can get a very long sheet of paper and print it all in one, then great. And you can do that at Bath Spa. You can go ad infinitum, well, as long as a roll of paper. But when you come to fold it, most people assume that you fold it like this. But it's very hard to get accurate folds up the spine and the foredge. It's really important with a well-made accordion that the folds at this edge and at this edge marry up well. You can always trim the head and tail, but obviously you can't trim the spine and foredge because they need to remain joined together. So the most accurate way of folding a single sheet of paper, you fold it in half. It's also important that the grain direction runs up and down, because that will make your life a lot easier in terms of folding, because it will just fold better and behave better. You will obviously have made a mock-up already, folding down a blank piece of paper to work out where your folds lie, and then they will dictate where your images can be as well. So if you have an image to here to here, you want to ensure that the fold is in between two images, unless you have a continuous image, in which case it doesn't matter where the folds are so much. So fold in half this way, then bring this top one back to fold in this direction. And then this one goes to this fold. So it's important at this stage to be very accurate about marrying up the edges. I'm now folding this back on itself because it's easier to see where I'm going with this fold. So that's half of it folded. Now turn it over, go back the other way. Okay, if you find that some of them are a bit back to front, don't worry, because you can just bend them back on themselves so that they then fit in the right order. So I now have I've been careful to ensure that these edges are nicely lined up, and I can trim this top edge here and this bottom edge here, and then I would make a cover for it. I'm just going to show you another way of joining pieces of paper. So you may have individual images and you want to join this one to this one and so on. But in order to do that, you need to create a little hinge. So I've got my individual images. I want to create a little hinge here. Whatever image is on this hinge will get hidden. You won't be able to see it. So it's important to place your image outside of the hinge area. So for something about this size, I'm using, these are dividers. I've set them to 10 millimeters. They're a very useful tool. You can see I'm measuring and marking in 3 places. And then I'm going to join up those marks with my ruler, and with my bone folder with a sharp point ideally, I'm going to score and crease, fold and crease. And you're going to do that to all of your pages. It's important when gluing your pages together to ensure that the hinges all sit to the back of the line. So you can see my hinges on the back here, then it needs to go back here, and this gets stuck onto there like that, like that. So we can put a cross there and a cross there. This one then comes forward. I'm going to put a cross there, and so on. So now where I've got an X, so I've got waste sheet underneath and a little bit of waste sheet on top, just up to the fold of the hinge. I'm running a line of glue on that hinge, like so, and then getting my first page. And I'm butting it in like this because I want it to be able to fold, and it's got to be right in up against the fold. Rub it down. Okay. If you've got it the wrong way around, you can always just turn the hinge around. Make your life easier. So here we're going to glue this hinge. Obviously plan it ahead because you will have your printed pages and you want to have them all on the right way up. So this one goes that one comes back like that. I get my next page and I want to butt it up to here. So I'm going to just being as accurate as possible with your sticking and gluing. So that's like that. Now this one is going to go this way. This way. And so on until you've finished as long as you need to finish. So once you finish this, you've pressed it, we're then at the same as this one. So we've got our accordion. It's nice and even at the spine and foredge, or on either side here. We've trimmed it top and bottom. We've cut some boards. You don't want to have too much of a square for an accordion because you don't want any extra height here on the board will mean that the gravity is going to put pressure on the paper. So I tend to cut the boards just a smidge bigger than the size of the accordion. So you can see it's about 1 mil to 1/2 mil wider and taller. So I've got my 2 bits of board. I'm just going to glue them to the cloth. Flip it over, rub it down. Trim out a ruler's width all the way around. Cut off 45 degrees at the corners, the board's thickness away from the edge of the board, corner of the board. Glue along one edge and the board edge. Turn in. Rub down with your bone folder, making sure it's nice and tight around the board edge. Nick in your corners and glue down the other ends. I'm doing it quite quickly, but obviously you will take a lot more care. Okay, so I've now got one board covered. Repeat for the other board. So we've now got our two boards covered, and the final stage is just to glue the accordion into the covers. So it's relatively simple. You need some waste paper, and I've put a bit of waste paper under here and under here. Again, always gluing from the centre out. Carefully remove your waste paper. And I find it easiest to pick the whole thing up and look down on it to position it. And then turn around and repeat for the other end. So again, a waste sheet between and a waste sheet under. So ensure everything is straight, and then you're going to place the second board on top, lining it up with the board below. Just double check you're happy with the placement, and then press. Again, get your plastic tins in between the final glued down page and the next one, and it can go into the press. We're not so worried about it. We want it to go in the middle of the boards and in the middle of the press. We might have a clean sheet of paper. And you've made an accordion that looks like this.